So I'm going to take you through our 2020, the year since last Christmas through this Christmas. So last Christmas we were still in Spokane, Washington, and as you can see, we always do it big with the presents. This is little Langston with his dancing Christmas tree. And of course, Christmas morning after opening the presents, everybody's excited, playing with some of the new things, eating some good food. Isaiah was over in England, and so he wasn't with us, but Langston enjoyed this little light display game and so many of the other things that he got for Christmas. It's always appreciated when friends send some things too to help out with the gift giving. He enjoyed drawing on this little it was kind of like an Etch-a-Sketch, only it erases a lot easier than an Etch-a-Sketch, and has the little pen, and so it's kind of a little magnetic thing. We did celebrate Kwanzaa the day after Christmas. We did the whole week celebration, the 7-day celebration. Langston discovered Play Snow and also was working with Rainbow Rice at school. We were still going to school here in January, this 2020. I was working on art. I started off the year with doing some cut paper collage work, and this ended up being actually the calendar cover for my 2021 calendar. I also did some gilded portraits with kind of a solid gold background. For the first time in my life, I got my eyebrows threaded in 2020, so that was kind of fun. Franklin did a spirit event, like a spirit team cheerleading type of thing for his school. Had a lot of fun doing that. He did it with most of his friends from the football team. So his nickname, by the way, as some of you may not know, is Mr. Molasses for obvious reasons for anybody that knows Franklin. He's slow to get ready, and of course this was the year that he showed his underwear in front of hundreds of people, and flipping upside down. So Langston and I were there to support, and here's Franklin once again after the event with all his friends. We got sick in January. Of course, we wonder now if it was COVID, but at that time we didn't know about COVID. So here's the cat wanting more attention because Langston's getting all the attention. I continued to work on art, and this is another cut paper piece which was later purchased by Neil Brennan and then gifted to Chris Rock, and then Chris Rock showed this piece on the late show in November. But anyway, I also did a few pieces actually with this last remaining elk hide from my childhood. We used to eat elk meat growing up. So I had one hide remaining, and I did some sculpture with the hide, and then touched some of the surface area with gold leaf. So this is a few of the sculptures that resulted from that particular work. So these are interesting to some people who enjoy more 3D or bas-relief sculpture work, and I still have 2 of these remaining in my collection available. I also started an identity portrait series, and this is the wife of James Kelso Bruce, who historians will recognize. Langston celebrated his birthday, his 4th birthday. He still is not sure about cake, does not like messes, so he tolerates birthday parties, but we try and keep them small. The cake's small, the party's small, all of that. Franklin got his senior pictures taken, where he was really looking forward to his whole senior year. He had so much planned. I kept doing artwork. This is still, I think, in February or so, January, February. I actually set up some pears and then mixed paint to match the colors of the pears, and did Ode to a Pear, which is one of my abstract pieces. So this is the finished piece. So I kind of rotate mediums and also styles and subject matter. Of course, I was cooking in the old year now, but the new year then, in 2020, and was, doing my nails, trying to look good. Langston and Franklin were enjoying some weekend home time. I did some portrait commission work. This is a drawing. I do charcoal drawing portraits as well as painted portraits. So this is one of my painted portraits in progress, and then the finished piece in this picture here. And I also started kind of exploring with some brighter colors. I tend to work with more of a neutral palette, but I really, in the spring, early spring, I was kind of looking to some brighter colors for inspiration and just that color energy. At the same time, though, I was also working in black and white, which is kind of ironic, but I did some sketching in pen and ink and also in charcoal, some really miniature, small scale pieces that were more saleable because the price point was lower. We had a lot of snow in February still, and we were actually able to go visit the University of Arizona. This is Langston and Franklin, of course. We had a very long walk on the tour, and so there was some need to carry Langston part of the way because, of course, he was tired of walking. But it was a beautiful campus. Franklin fell in love with it and decided to go to the University of Arizona. So go Wildcats. We actually really loved just the warm weather because it was such a contrast to Spokane, Washington. And then COVID hit and schools shut down in Washington. I had to stop doing hair. We tried to do some baking activities, of course not knowing how long it was all going to last, just trying to do our best to plan and also just respond and react to all of the new information. I continued to work on some commission portraits as well as my own original art. This is a commission portrait of a daughter from the mother who commissioned it. COVID affected my art, affected it in terms of not just the subject matter, but also kind of the feel of it, the vibe. I feel like is very isolated, and I continued to work in charcoal throughout a lot of the earlier spring, March. This is March here, and April. It was kind of just continuing on, and I turned to collage work, cut paper work. This is another piece. Of course, I felt like we all were like astronauts or something, like trying to walk around in a space suit, hazmat suit through the landscape of germs. That piece actually later was displayed at Rochester Contemporary Art Gallery in their 6x6 show. I designed some skin tone masks, kind of being a little bit sick of all of the like flowers and polka dots and everything. I thought we needed a neutral mask. This was very early on in the crisis. So, of course, that's not a new thing now. Franklin's cat Nala kept us entertained with her little cuteness and fluffiness. Langston had an earnest go at potty training. We really tried. It still didn't work. He just isn't still getting the hang of it, but we tried. I also, of course, continued to work on my art. This is another piece that was directly affected by, it's called Shelter in Place, by the quarantine situation that we were all experiencing. We made rainbow rice, had fun with that. Made Rice Krispie treats. Just really tried to learn new skills with Langston, just doing everything we could to keep life moving forward. So I'm so grateful that I continued to have some portrait commissions coming in. This is a mob boss who passed away, who I was commissioned to do his portrait. And the Netflix documentary, The Rachel Divide, started trending in quarantine with everybody being shut in home. And a lot of people thought that film just was released in 2020, but it actually came out in 2018. But that's fine. A lot of people watched it for the first time this year. And as a result, I got a lot of emails and direct messages, basically, and tried to respond out of courtesy to as many people as I could possibly respond to. There's another portrait commission that I had, and truly I don't know if we would have survived this year without these commissions due to hair clients being shut down in Washington for two months solid. I couldn't do any hair. So this is the resulting portrait of this lady. And Langston continued to explore books. Of course, as you can see, he got interested in watching me do that painting. My sister still was coming over to do her hair. I kept her hair looking fresh throughout the whole ordeal. Here's another portrait commission that I did, and this is the finished product. So her name was Mona, and so she was like the Mona Lisa. Anyways, I also did this. This was a commission actually, but it's in the vein of those other charcoal sketches, the smaller sketches. And somebody complained about me stealing their style or whatever with this particular portrait, and so I was like, well, you know what? I don't need that negative energy, and so I painted over all of the jewelry and the head wrap and decided that it's fine. It still holds its power with or without those kind of accessories or whatever. So I also feel like this kind of was a sign of the times of the whole 2020 year anyway. And Franklin got ready for graduation. He shouldn't have been hanging out with his friends, but he did. He was 18. He did sometimes when I couldn't tell him no, or didn't know he was basically hanging out with them. So I stole those pictures from his social media. But anyways, this is his graduation, and we were very proud of him. And these are his football buddies. So they I guess they had like sort of a little germ pod because it was just them that were hanging out with each other. But he wanted another tattoo for graduation, so he wanted I am my brother's keeper with the S apostrophe. And then, of course, the incident with George Floyd hit, and I joined the protests. That was a big turning point for a lot of people. For me, it was a continuation of a lot of the activism that I have always been a part of for almost 20 years, but especially since 2012 with the incident with Trayvon Martin. The police brutality fight has been at the forefront of some of my activism. I created these little booklets, which are still available for free on my website, How to Combat Hate, Racism, and Prejudice. I continue to sew my Melanin Spectrum dolls. We tried to stay happy, of course, amidst everything as a family. The defacing and removal of Confederate statues and colonial statues around the world was such a big turning point and moment as well. And I created a little tribute piece to that. It's very miniature, but it basically has 4 portrait busts in miniature on miniature mantles, and then splattered with the red paint to speak to those statues being defaced and taken down. I also did this sketch called I Miss My Dad, and it's a white Conte sketch on black paper, and the G and F, of course, symbolize George Floyd. At about the same time, Franklin got his tonsils removed, which was going to be routine, except for the fact that he had complications and was spitting up a lot of blood, and that was pretty gross and pretty stressful and traumatic for all of us. Thankfully, he recovered, and he tried on his prom outfit, which we got through Amazon. Of course, prom never happened. And then we made our big move. We got a U-Haul, got in the car, and moved from Washington State to Arizona. So we drove 21 hours, just Langston and I, and Franklin's cat, who was not cooperative, but, anyways, we took the cat. So we arrived in Arizona safe and sound and got moved into our little apartment, downsized from a 2-bedroom, 2-level home to a 1-bedroom apartment. So we got rid of a lot of stuff. Langston was excited and happy. I'm learning to grow succulents here in the desert. This is what it looked like to reunite with friends, a friend who had moved from Mississippi to Arizona. This is what it looked like to do hair clients' hair with masks on, of course. Around the same time, my younger brother Zach had a baby, and this is what it looked like to have babies in the hospital, of course, with masks and everything. Langston loved pool time and has really enjoyed the water play since moving to Arizona. So he's got his little floaty wings and he's ready to go. He loves water, really loves water. I also got another portrait commission, thankfully, and was working on that. This is the finished result, a mother and son, and put out my how to end police brutality pamphlet, which is still available on my website for free, by the way, racheldolezal.com. We loved, really enjoyed the sunsets here in Arizona and went on these nice walks. I also started selling DIY hair kits, and this is one of those hair kits for passion twists. DIY hair kits basically come with everything you need to install it yourself. This is a self-portrait. I got commissioned to do 5 self-portrait drawings. So that's one of the self-portraits. And again, we tried to stay happy. This is Langston getting ready for his first day at pre-K. And that first day didn't happen on Zoom. So we got ready for second day. He got dressed up again, and that did happen. But he did not like Zoom school at all since he's nonverbal, so he didn't want to get out of bed most mornings. This is another commission piece of this one of Mike Tyson, of course, and it was commissioned in this specific color palette. Franklin arrived in Arizona and got moved into his college dorm and came over and spent some time with Langston. We got out and explored some things just around. There wasn't much to do because of COVID, but we tried to do what we could as much as possible. Franklin got some new wheels, so he was pretty excited about that. Tried to keep his spirits lifted amidst all of the disappointments of senior year and college with COVID. Langston taught himself how to scarf dance. He loves to dance with scarves and made us all really dizzy watching him do his routines, his dance routines. This is another one of the self-portraits that I was doing for the gallery in LA, and this is kind of an external self-portrait. This is us at Rocking K Ranch. We tried to again see a few sights from time to time. This is the horse. Langston's not sure about petting it. I did another self-portrait. This is more of an inward realm piece, swimming with sharks, kind of how I feel sometimes. I also did some little promotions on Instagram for a Black-owned company called Simply Soap and Water, and kept braiding hair from time to time. This is more of a daily life self-portrait, and it is in charcoal like the other ones. Our theme this year was, of course, perseverance, and also just trying to stay happy amidst all the ups and downs and uncertainties and new information, and responding to schooling being open and closed, and just the college transition and everything. This is a new dress that a friend sent me in the mail, and that really lifted my spirits. Langston got a fish tank that someone sent to him, which was cool. And then this is another self-portrait in that series of me biting into a black and white cookie, again a symbolic piece. I took my faux locks out, went back to curls, and shortly thereafter, I think this was in September, Franklin was diagnosed with or tested positive with COVID, and that was our first positive test. We stayed at home for a couple weeks. He got better. Isaiah flew in from England. We all quarantined for 2 weeks, and then after 14 days, we started going out a little bit just to get some fresh air. And see some things, even though most things were closed. Just trying to see some of Tucson. Langston really enjoyed and still is enjoying having Isaiah here. And I was trying to get some sunshine. We really have enjoyed the Arizona sun. It's just been so healing and refreshing. Langston kind of got into solar system stuff and planets this year, so he's really fascinated by astronomy, books and videos and everything. And of course, then Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed, and I had done that painting of her a while back, along with this Woman of Courage series, Maya Angelou and Malala Yousafzai and Lema Gabawi, and these 4 women, along with, of course, RGB as the 4th woman, are just, role models and women of courage. So looking back on those portraits, did more hair braiding, did another commission this time of a baby who had passed away at 1 month old, which was very sad. Some of my art got featured on Bondi Band. 2 headbands are there for purchase that are designed with my art. I did finish up that little baby portrait, and it brought some joy to that family. In Canada, there was a book club that did kind of a Zoom meeting where I talked to them about my book. They had all read my book, so that was cool. Franklin came over for Sunday dinners. We've done Sunday dinners still, and so he comes over every Sunday when he's in college, and we eat. And of course, he takes leftovers. There's been a lot of sleeping in, by the way, this whole year. This is a doll that I made actually from this little girl's big sister passed away from cancer, and they saved her hair, and so they sent me the hair and asked if I would make a little custom doll with the hair, and I did that, and it's been a comfort for the little sister. I also continue to just offer my Melanin Spectrum dolls on my website as well, and kept painting. This piece called Connecting Thoughts was one of my first pieces to finish in Tucson. So this is on puzzle and panel, and this took me several months from start to finish, just because I was doing other things in between. I started a wellness journey during this year and decided to get in better shape, so I'm still working on that. And I designed my 2021 calendar and put that out there in October, and kept painting. That was an abstract. This particular green piece is just a sketch, as well as this piece is a sketch for the pieces that are now finished. This is called Cast Beyond the Moon, and this one called Migration from One Climate to Another, from right to left. And this really kind of symbolized, of course, merging of landscapes and new things. I voted, just so you know, that there was the whole presidential election, so the voting time. Langston and Isaiah again having some bro time. Continue to do hair, meet new clients, which has been awesome in Tucson to meet a few new people that way. We went to the Colossal Cave. That's what this is. It's an attraction here in Tucson, and it's pretty cool actually, and we just continue to try and see new things here. So Franklin turned 19 in October, so his birthday, cooked him a big meal. I didn't get a picture of the actual meal, but these are the leftovers, so there you go. He had a lot of seafood. He likes seafood. So this is another painting. I continued to create work. He continued to make inroads with his fraternity that he pledged to, and some of his new friends there. Langston continued to grow and develop and got taller, grew out of a whole size of his clothes this year, so he's definitely getting some long legs. And again, another one of my paintings. This is an abstract, and that was called Pyro. This is called Cat Among Pigeons. And this piece I started, it's actually one that I just recently got framed, but this is the process of creating it. and it's called the Extra Mile. So this is the finished piece for that. Langston went as an astronaut for Halloween, or I should say he didn't really go. He stayed in as an astronaut, but you know, he dressed up for Halloween nonetheless. Like I said, we've tried to keep life moving forward, even if it's kind of in a different way. I got his backpack all ready because school is supposed to start on November 12th, which then it didn't open in person, so he wasn't getting on the bus. So that backpack has been useless this year, but it was ready on time. I designed a Chadwick baby doll, so baby Chad, I named this doll, and I am doing a limited edition of 43 dolls for Chadwick Boseman's 43 years of life, and I've already sent out the first 3 of those. I continue to paint, and this piece I worked on for a little while. It's kind of a very vivid sunrise and skyscape. And then of course, as we all know, the election was held and the election was decided, and I painted or drew, this is a charcoal drawing of young Kamala Harris, and Langston and I continue to go on our walks. I really enjoy this little trail. It's by the Ruyita River, and my dad's book was published. This is of course not my biological father, but my father figure, Albert Wilkerson, and I helped him transcribe this autobiography, so it was a really good feeling that it finally got into print. He passed in 2018. We did some at-home school pictures, so I hung up a gray sheet. This was the result. With a little help of a photographer. Langston got his school picture in. Then this is another one of the DIY haircuts. These are braids that I sent out to the client. And Thanksgiving rolled around this year. I made my sweet potato pie, and I tried Kamala Harris's cornbread dressing. I'd add a little extra butter and broth to it for my taste, but otherwise, it was really good with the apples. So that was the sweet potato pie. This is the dressing. Made my homemade cranberry sauce, and that's my favorite. Franklin always requests ham, so we had a nice Thanksgiving ham and some mac and cheese, and also a brined turkey breast. So, and some homemade dinner rolls. So we had a nice feast for Thanksgiving. Good food is always part of getting us through tough times, so this has been an important part of the year. Of course, pie helps anything, and pie is good for dinner, dessert, it's good for breakfast. Pie is nice. I also did this wig for a fitness competition, actually, and this is the beautiful model that wore that piece, and she took second place in Miami, so super proud of her. I also did some more braiding for another client, for a guy client, and then did a weave. This is a full sew-in. I got my first pedicure since COVID happened, which this is recent. This is what, November, early December, I can't remember. Sometime right after Thanksgiving, but anyway, got just a classic red because the holidays. And then made another DIY hair kit. These are faux locks, so these are nice ombre faux locks, which is a really pretty color. Shipped those out. Franklin adopted a rescue kitty, so this is Jeffrey, aka Thugga, and he is the new cat. I finished this sculpture. It's a plaster sculpture with kind of a faux finish, and I actually have been working on this for several years. It's been a process of modeling in clay, and then casting, and then also carving. So it's kind of in the tradition of more of an ancient artifact, but it's a modern sculpture. It's called Misaligned Mind, which is why the back part of the head is off-centered from the face. And yes, I continue to work on my wellness and fitness, and continue to braid hair and try and get those ends dipped just right, because you know how important that is if you've ever worn braids. Started the Christmas baking, shipped some goodies to a few friends. Again, trying to stay happy amidst some of the isolation and weirdness this year. Just getting sunshine helps. And then my art was signed by somebody else and exhibited in an LA gallery, and I had to deal with that, which has been addressed. So that was weird, but that happened. And I got my braids back, and also, kept braiding other people's hair as well. Mainly I spend my time braiding clients' hair, or locking, or twisting, or weaving, but every once in a while I do my own braids too. So I baked some challah bread for our Christmas dinner, and that's kind of an egg-based bread. I also made candied yams and stuffing and collard greens and ham and a tomato cucumber marinated salad, none of which I got pictures of, it seems like, but these are leftovers, a plate of leftovers. My diet plate of leftovers, mostly protein and greens. This was our Christmas tree. It is a present tree because I did not actually get a Christmas tree this year, but I just kind of made a tree out of presents, which was fine and actually was super exciting for the kids. I think mostly Franklin. Franklin's the big gift person. Langston really enjoyed some of his gifts after Christmas here. He's playing with his new leapfrog, imitating Isaiah, playing with his light-up bath toys, which are super cool. And of course, I continue to do hair. Franklin got his tattoo already inked that I drew up for him for Christmas. Here are some more braids that I did in those DIY hair kits again. And here are some Christmas Eve kolaches, which I posted that video a little bit earlier. And this is me on Christmas Day, and I hope that you all are like me, ready to cross 2020 off your list and bring in 2021. So cheers to you. You are still here. That means that you made it. You've got a lot to be grateful for, but most of all, we've got to look forward to some success, some good vibes, some happiness in 2021. And I hope you're staying connected with people that you love, being creative in terms of finding things that bring you joy, even if it's not the usual stuff that we typically are used to doing. So it's been an odd year. It's been a crazy year. But here's cheers to a new year, and I wanted to wish everyone well. So happy New Year, happy 2021.